Challenge Cup in 2025. This week's Robin Pod podcast, your home for all things Hull Kingston Rovers. On this episode, our focus turns to the Challenge Cup third round as the Robins prepare to take on Community Club Lock Lane. We're joined by Lock Lane head coach Brad Roberts, who drops in to give us his thoughts ahead of the big tie and what the game means for his side. We've got all the latest squad news ahead of Friday, and we're also asking the big question: does anyone actually know the rules? With just 14 days to go until the World Cup Challenge, Willie Peters has admitted he's not entirely sure which set of rules the game will be played under. As always, we have question time where we answer your questions. And I'm delighted to say Graham Turner joins me for the first time in 2026, giving his opinions on all things Hull KR. And remember, the Robin podcast is proudly powered by Budget Ties Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and get involved by leaving your comments in the comment section. Let's get into it. Graham, welcome to the Robin Pod.
Thanks, John. Good to be back, and thanks for asking me to come back in 2026. Appreciate that, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, the introduction, I'll never get sick of watching it, listening to it. I think it's fantastic. Tune and seeing some of them highlights from the Challenge Cup final and of course, seeing them, that moment win the grand final. But I will probably have to change my intro a little bit on in the season because the serious point is, last season has come and gone and it's all about 2026 now. And as much as we may reminisce and remember, actually, the here and now is really important. And I'm sure Willie Peters, the coaching staff, the players, they will be very much focused on this season. And that's why it's important for us as supporters to do that also.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I think, I was just listening to it there on the intro there, and I'm listening to it on the previous weeks that you've done. And it does, it does bring back lots of happy memories over the last 12 months of watching the Robins. I think it was Scott who said last week that he's watched something every day with regards to one of the finals or end of seasons, etc. So just seeing those pictures again, hearing the music overlaid with it, and bringing back those memories, it just makes the spine tingle a little bit.
Yeah, and I suppose when you look at it as well, Graham, if at certain points this season it isn't going maybe how people expect it to be, you can't look back to last season's go, well, then we did this. And, we've got to be as supporters, haven't we? Sort of, I don't know, a little bit mature in terms of our views, in terms of what may happen in 2026. Now, we all hope that the Robins repeat what they did, which will create that dynasty that's been spoke about. There may be some bumps in the road, and it's them bumps in the road is when the team really need us to not get on the backs, to really throw support behind them, because this team has really got the opportunity to do something special. But like we said, there probably will be bumps in the road at some point in 2026.
Absolutely. I guarantee there will be, whether it's, we've sort of seen the schedule coming out for the first couple of months of the season. That's quite heavy, and that could take its toll early on in the season. So there might be a natural dip in performances because of all the travel, all the high-profile games that we're getting involved in now. But that's a pressure that we've brought upon ourselves, and we've invited that in because we wanted to be where we are. So we as fans have got to do our bit in terms of that support, absolutely. But we also again, as a long-suffering Rovers fan of many, many years, as you keep reminding me, John, we should be able to enjoy this as well without and reminisce about it without, hopefully, it falling back as a default position whereby it was good while it lasted. It was just a one-season wonder. No, actually, we want to, again, as fans, play our part where we can in helping the team be that, that dynasty that you talked about, and making sure that this isn't just a one-hit wonder. And we've seen over the last 3 seasons whereby there's been a slow progression towards the culmination of last year's events. Now the challenge for us is to maintain that, and like you said, the squad looks good. We've got to play our part, but yes, as fans, we've got to accept that I think there will be points in the season, whether it's in individual matches or within a block of time, that we need to be patient and we need to be mindful of the support that we can give to help, sometimes drag the boys over the line where things are tough or where things aren't going our way. So yeah, it's not going to be plain sailing, as I think every fan would agree. But we need to turn up and play our part as well. Everybody's got 0 points at the minute, so we're all at the same particular point. Everybody's looking fresh in terms of squads. They've all got aspirations to win silverware. And it's up to us to now, with that target on our back, make sure we try and stay that half a step ahead of all.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Graham, as well, I've got no doubt whatsoever that the Robins faithful will rise to the challenge, because
absolutely
we're hungry. We're hungry for more. The players are hungry for more. We really want to cement ourselves, a bit like in the 80s, as one of the top side, the side that everybody wants to be. And at the moment, going into the new season, we are that side. February is a crazy month, isn't it? I mentioned it on the Robin pod last week. Is February the greatest ever month to be a Hull Kingston Rovers supporter? You look at Lock Lane, the Challenge Cup third round. You've got then York, Super League season opener. We then take on Brisbane in the World Club Challenge. And of course, then we travel to Vegas to take on Leeds in a Super League regular fixture. It's a crazy month. Absolutely crazy month. And some people are wondering, and maybe it's supporters of other sides more than Hull Kingston Rovers supporters, whether February may derail our season in a lot of ways, but I don't think it will. I think, do you know what we've become accustomed to, Graham, with the Robins, is that the planning, the preparation, they're so good at it. They manage the situation. Willie Peters has talked about already, hasn't he, where he can't rely on the same number of players as what he did in 2026. They're going to have to rely on, they're going to have to bring in, it's going to be a bigger squad game, hence why they've probably brought in players like Tom Whitehead, Declan Murphy, players who have already played Super League, Jack Charles, and I do think we may see, especially this month of February, pretty much the Robins' strongest side, but I won't be surprised if, say, March, April, we start to see a bit of a rotation within the squad as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree, John. And I think that squad depth is going to be really, really important. I won't say we got away with it last year. We managed it last year with a core number of players. And I think the stats are that we had the least number of active players in the squad. And, obviously we achieved what we achieved. But to keep doing that and doing that year on year is a tough ask for the same bodies to be doing that. So I do think that the management of workloads and impact that players have from a training and match play perspective, you're quite right. I think that we will see some squad rotations, and we've now got that depth in some of those key positions where we have got some quality in there, albeit unproven in a Rovers shirt, given that there are new additions to the squad. But that's up to them to step up and enter that environment that we created over the last 2 or 3 years that was talked about that togetherness, that connectivity, that next man up mentality, and that sort of brotherhood almost. It's up to them to embrace that and step up to that as quickly as they can, so that when they are the next man up, they are doing an equally as good job as the person whose shirt they've just taken off their backs. Yeah,
of course. The big talking point on this Robin pod is a Lock Lane Challenge Cup third round tie. Before we dive into that, though, and I posed a question in the introduction, and it was around the rules that we're going to be playing in the World Cup Challenge. And the only reason that I was bringing it up is because there was a news story on NRL.com, and it was around an interview with Willie Peters. It was only posted, I think, as we record this early this morning, and the question was posed. Does Willie Peters know what rules the game is being played under in the World Cup Challenge? And Willie Peters said, it's a good question. We haven't got that far yet, but I think it will be the same as what we're playing now, won't it? We, Super League, are trying to get as close to the NRL in terms of the way it's refereed. I need to find out what the rules are because I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's still going to be the same. The ruck speed will be similar to over there now because that's what we're trying to do here. But yeah, we need to find out. No referee's been announced, of course. We don't know if it's going to be a Super League referee or NRL referee or who the assistants may be. But the reason that question has been posed is because the NRL have announced some new rules that they're introducing into their competition ready for the new season. Also, the RFL have introduced some new rules. And also, don't forget, the international game plays under a separate set of rules, which are, let's be honest, not that different to what we already know. But it's important that we look at these to understand actually what is being introduced and what could be played in the World Club Challenge. So if we look at what's been introduced in the NRL, let me bring it up. So we'll start with, I'll tell you what, we'll start with what's changing in Super League and Rugby League in general. Some of these are wordings. I'm not going to go through them all. The main ones are locking the ball in the scrum. It's an offence to deliberately lock the ball in a scrum. This will result in a full penalty being awarded against the offending team. Packing the scrum. This is quite interesting. The loose forward of each team, so obviously that's the named loose forward, is required to pack behind their second row forwards by placing their head in the space in between them and wrapping their arms around the second rows. So you just can't have your loose forward just coming in and sort of making a token effort. Grounding the ball, and this was, I think it came up last season, especially with the Robins, dropping on the ball and covering it with the front part of the body above the waist and below the neck, the ball itself being on the ground. So this clarifies that a try cannot be scored with the back. So it's got to be your front that scores the try. Active and passive offside, players shall not encroach within 10 metres of an opponent who is waiting for the ball and shall immediately retire from any opponent who first secures the ball. Offside players who are within 10 metres must not apply an active part in or impact any subsequent play, i.e. remains passive, blah, 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 blah. Player safety. When attempting to tackle a kicker, defenders must make a genuine attempt which is not late, high or dangerous contact with the kicking player whilst they are in a vulnerable position. Playing the ball, the tackle players shall without delay regain their feet where they are tackled, lift the ball clear of the ground, face their opponent's goal line and place the ball on the ground in front of their foremost foot. So you can't have sideways. I mean, these are more clarifications rather than actually new rules coming in, but they are important for us to look at. And if you look at the NRL, what they're introducing, so they are, one of the rules is around trainer rules. Trainers will be restricted from entering the field of play to prescribed and clearly defined circumstances. This will ensure player safety remains the priority while reducing unnecessary intrusions by trainers carrying messages. That has been a bugbear for a lot of people for a long time, hasn't it, in terms of coaches seem to be on the pitch coaching the game. Interchange rules. Teams may interchange 4 players up to 8 times per match from a squad of 6 players. So obviously in Super League we have an interchange bench of 4. NRL are increasing it to 6. Accidental breach, 0 tackle in goal. There'll be no 7 tackles set following a knock-on in goal by the attacking team and restarting the tackle count for certain infringements beyond the 20-metre line. The tackle count will restart, replacing the current 40-metre threshold. I suppose, Graham, with all that information, we just need clarity, don't we, under what are the rules going to be? Because as Brisbane go into their trial games in terms of pre-season, and we obviously played Wakefield, and now we're entering our competitive season, there needs to be some clarity under what rules we're playing, because we've seen rules can detect, how people interpret rules can have an impact on the game.
Yeah, and I think that inconsistency is one of the big bugbears of fans. Week on week, you see some things given, you see the next week, different referee, things not given. And I think you're right, Jono, that the clarifications are more than new rules. I think they're the loose forward, for example, binding in. You often see them with a loose arm around each second rower, but then their heads up like a periscope, looking at what's going on, and they're very quick to break away from that and give the defensive line a bit of an extra advantage. So I think that's clarified some of the probably where referees haven't been as enforceful of some of those rules, and you don't want to see every time that happens penalties given, but it would spoil the game. But the rules are rules, and they've got to be adhered to. But that interpretation and application of them needs to be consistent, and certainly in the Super League rules where we'll be plying our trade. The comparison between some of the NRL stuff, again, I think there was an incident in the NRL where one of the trainers got involved in one of the players in one of the big games last season and caused a big hoo-ha over there. So that again is just a tightening up of that. But you're absolutely right. We need some clarity on what's expected of all the players for both sides, what's expected of the coaching staff, what can and can't be done, so that we don't want to be penalised for those minor infringements that are easy to sort of eke out the game. If we're not sure, we need absolute clarity beforehand so that the players are fully aware of it, so that they can go into it. And if they do get penalised, then it's not for one of those minor technicalities. It is for a breach of rules. So we can't afford to be giving certainly Brisbane any legs up in terms of silly penalties and easy meters. They're going to be difficult enough to play against anyway. So I think that clarity is absolutely needed. 2 weeks out, let's hope that the powers that be and the regulators of the games get their heads together and come up with a set of rules that is applicable to both, regardless of the referee, where they're from. That's regardless. The set of rules is a set of rules, and it's up to the referee to apply them and their interpretations of them. So whether that leans itself one way or the other, that's up to the referees and the match officials groups to sort out. But as long as all the players and coaching staff are aware of what rules we're playing to, then in advance of the game they can prepare for that, and there should be no complaints afterward.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see. It's one of them watch this space, isn't it? Yeah, we as we record this, of course, we've got Loch Lane on Friday night. I mean, Challenge Cup third round. Lots of Rovers supporters super excited, ready to see the Robins back in competitive action. Before we discuss it, Graham, I was lucky enough to catch up with Brad Roberts, who is a Loch Lane head coach, of course, the community club that we are facing on Friday night. He gave us his thoughts, his opinions. He told us how much the game means to him and his playing side. So before we discuss the game, let's bring in Brad Roberts. Brad, it's a real pleasure to have you on this week's Robin Pod, of course. There's a huge game on Friday night at Soul Group Craven Park. Loch Lane versus Hull Kingston Rovers in the third round of the Challenge Cup. Before we go into it in a bit more detail, what are your emotions right now as we record this?
At the moment, I think it's a bit still surreal. I think seeing that UKR putting posts out today, I think they put one on William and Chella saying Challenge Cup this week, and I still can't wrap my head around it. It obviously lifted that Super League trophy in your last competitive game, and then your next competitive game's against Loch Lane. So I don't think until lads walk out is when it'll kind of sink in properly, and just excited really.
Yeah, and I suppose the greatest tribute Rovers can pay to you guys is that they take it seriously. They prepare the same way that they would if it was a Super League game. The preparation's the same. The lineup's hopefully pretty strong. And I think that's what the competition needs. But it's also what you boys deserve, because it shows that they're taking you seriously as well.
Yeah, speaking to a couple of lads, and obviously everyone's like, "Oh, you want them to put a week aside out? You want them to do it?" They're done. The lads really done. The lads want to go against the best. That's what we're in the Challenge Cup for. We want to play against the best in experience. And Lewis said it the other day as captain, and he said, and he can watch Super League later on this year and say, I've played against him. It means the world to him, to be honest with you.
Exactly, and it's a matter of fact. It goes in the history books. It's thankfully we're in an era now where everything's recorded. You've got a story to tell your kids, your grandkids. So look, it's going to be a really special occasion. How you got there, of course, was a 42-6 victory over Brighouse. You actually found out, didn't you, prior to that game, that the winners would face the Robins. What was it like going into that game? Because I can imagine that you wouldn't have been guilty if you did have one eye on the next round. But it must have been a bit tough to, just to concentrate on that game solely.
For myself, it was probably the most pressure I've ever felt as a coach so far. Obviously, I've only been coaching a few years, but been in Yorkshire Cup finals and things like that. But obviously, we were massive favourites. There's no denying that. Brighouse, Yorkshire Men's League side, and we're an NCL Prem side. So I think when the game, because obviously the game was originally supposed to be on the 10th of January, then it got postponed a week, which then obviously means we found out who we were playing before the game. I think at first it was just knowing the magnitude of the game. It was massive pressure, and I probably let it tell at times, which I'm a bit disappointed with myself on that one. But it was definitely a big learning curve on obviously how to. I don't know if you followed us last year, but we struggled at times last year. We were always the underdog towards the end of last season, and for me, it was learning how to be the favourite, how to be the favourites in the game, and how to deal with that. Obviously, massive contrast now. We're going to flip completely over, and I've gone from being favourites to playing against Hull.
Yeah, and you was newly appointed in, what is it, September? I think you'd been assistant previously, and you must be one of the youngest coaches in the league as well. So it is a bit of a baptism of fire, isn't it, for you in terms of, the Challenge Cup and then going into this Challenge Cup third round tie as well. But what a great experience for you personally.
Yeah, like I said, I'm learning on job as I'm going along and keep going as much as I can. And we're going into February now, and I've been in charge for 2 months and learned a hell of a lot already. So I'm just looking forward to keep going and keep growing.
Well, let's talk about the preparations for the game, because obviously, it's not your first game of the season.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a game like this? Do you keep things as normal as possible? Is that even possible?
From our side of things, obviously, we've still got, I think it's still over a month till our season starts. So we're only technically halfway through pre-season. So we're very focused on his pre-season at the moment. We had a plan at the start of the year of how we want to do things. We're very defensive based, which has worked well to say we're more than likely going to spend a lot of time defending on Friday. So we're very defensive based. So I've kind of said to the lads, let's not focus too much on the KR game as much as we're all thinking about it. Let's just keep us head on pre-season, and hopefully everything that we've done so far will kind of come into fruition on Friday, really.
Yeah, I suppose the danger is that, there's no doubt that you'll watch tapes of Rovers, and the problem is Rovers' last competitive game was the grand final, but you could concentrate too much on Rovers and think, almost get sort of sidetracked by what they can do. And for you, I guess, Brad, it's about your team. As long as they compete and set out and execute the plan you've set out, you go away happy regardless of whatever the score or result ends up being.
Yeah, I think from myself and the committee and all the other coaches, if we can go out there and lads will give best account of themselves, put 100% effort in, like you said, stick to the game plan that we kind of put out for them, then we'll go away happy. We'll go away really happy. I think the result's going to take care of itself. But if we can make a really good account of yourself, and not just us, but the amateur game, like you spoke about before, not many people want to see these ties. So if we can make a good account of the amateur game and make these ties worth the while, and hopefully everyone comes out and gets on back of it and gets support on back of that.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of eyes on it. A community club going up against the treble winners. Obviously, the game's on Friday night. What is the week looking like for you and your team in terms of training preparation? What are you doing?
So training as normal. We'll be training Tuesday, Thursday. Thursday will be a really light session, obviously. Lads have still got to get off of work on Friday morning. So they're going from, like I said, training Thursday to working to playing against Hull KR. We need to make it really light on Thursday and just kind of fine-tuning them things and coming up with some trick plays and stuff like that we can hopefully put into place. So, let's... I think, like you say, I think we need to focus on ourselves a lot more than focusing on Hull KR, really. So that's what we'll be doing this week. Yeah,
and I'm presuming you're not going to struggle to get the boys down to training this week.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. We've had a couple come out of woodwork, like you could imagine. Probably on Thursday, I might have to tell a couple of lads to just stay away because we really need to concentrate on making sure that we're right and we're focused going into the game, because any lapse in concentration, we know we'll be punished. So.
And you've actually got the boys, they're at work on Friday and then travelling over for the game?
Yeah, so there is quite a few of them that book days off, like myself. I've got a day off. I know a few of us have, but there is a few that unfortunately can't get the day off. So whether or not they're working, and we're setting off at 4 o'clock from Lock Lane. So whether or not they're working until 3 and then coming straight to Lock Lane from work, or they've got half day and they'll go home and sort themselves. But I think there's about 7 or 8 of them that are still working on Friday morning.
Yeah, and I think that's where the admiration from. Yeah, look. You know, most people are sensible and have so much respect for what you guys are doing because, you know, yeah, where you're on the Robin Pod, it's Hull Kingston Rovers podcast, but the respect that a lot of people will have for you is probably going to be evident on Friday, you know, whatever the result ends up being. And you know, to go to work and then go toe-to-toe with the treble winners, it's incredible, isn't it? So it's a fantastic effort. Have you done anything different? Are you doing anything different this week, or are you trying to keep it as normal as possible?
No. To be honest with you, mate, we want to make the occasion really good for the lads and one to remember. So like this week, we'll usually, if we're setting off to a game, we'll just set straight off, get there an hour and a half before, and go from there. Whereas we're going to be stopping off on way, making like a whole sort of day out of it. Looking at doing a shirt presentation before as well. With one of the presidents of Lock Lane who's going to come down and hopefully hand the shirts out to the lads. So yeah, we do. I know everyone. Some people seem to think keep it as normal as possible, but I think this is just one of them games where it might not ever happen again. So let's try and make it as special as we can and as memorable as we can for the lads as well.
Yeah, and what's really important, it's not just about the 17 blokes who take to the field on Friday. It's the community club like Lock Lane, a famous club with a lot of, rich heritage, a club that's produced players who've gone on to play, professional rugby. But it's about them volunteers as well who spend countless hours making sure that teams are put out. It's about all the junior teams. It's about all them junior coaches. It's about everyone in that club coming together and being able to celebrate a special moment like this. And also, it shows you there's a pathway from, if you're an under 6, under 10s, going into the men's team, that one day there is a chance that you may play in a game like this.
Yeah, I think just touching on volunteers, then we've got so many good volunteers at the club. And we are doing something for them. Hopefully they have a really good day out of it as well, and we repay them for everything they've done for the club. And then on the juniors as well, I was thinking about this earlier, and obviously there's a big thing at the moment with participation rate, and it's going down. But games like this, when lads get let go from academies and things like that, knowing that there's games like this still to come and play and still to be a part of, hopefully can attract them lads that leave the academy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive thing, isn't it, Brad? Because a lot of people think if you don't make it into an academy or you don't make it in the pro game, well, that's your rugby career over. Or actually, there's an amateur game which you can still enjoy playing rugby league. You can still, take to the field every Saturday afternoon, and that's really is what we want to celebrate, look after, and hopefully increase participation, because we don't want this game, we don't want this game to die because of a lack of players. There is opportunities out there. So even if you are starting out at under 8s, under 9s, under 10s, success isn't being in an academy. Success is actually being an adult and still being able to play. And hopefully, like you said, games like this inspire more people to get involved in the game, because it's a brilliant game. It's a fantastic game. Hopefully, like we've said before, it's a game that looks after itself as well. And don't forget, people listening don't forget, people watching don't forget, this is actually a home game for Lock Lane, isn't it? You've moved it from your home ground. I think you had the opportunity to play at Castleford, but your players wanted to play at Sulbrook Craven Park.
Yeah, I think goes without saying, last year for yourself, the atmosphere that the fans created, the ground itself, everything is just buzzing around the club, isn't it? So for our guys, we just want to put ourselves in that environment. One of us coaches put a video in chat, and I think as you come out, you sing a song as you come out. I can't remember the name of the song. It's going to kill me that now, actually.
Erasure.
What's that, sorry?
Erasure.
Yeah, and it put the video in the chat, and it was just like, boys, this is what we could have the opportunity to listen to as we're walking out, and everyone were just like, yeah, let's go for it. let's go for it. Let's play there, and hopefully fans turn out in numbers and do create that sort of experience for lads and give them that sort of atmosphere that we've took it to Craven Park for.
Yeah, and I know I've seen on a number of social media posts about a lot of Hull Kingston Rovers supporters rallying other supporters to say, look, we need to be there. We need to support not only the Robins but support the game, because it, as much as it is an amazing experience for you and your team, there is a financial aspect, isn't there? Which is maybe one of the reasons why it is at so good Craven Park as well.
Yeah, there is. It goes without saying it's going to be a massive day for the club financially. It's going to set us up for years to come. And I said yesterday, it's going to get them little tweaks that we want to do into the club, little upgrades that we can get here and there. And yeah, it's, to be honest with you, Cass did offer a really good offer, quite similar to Hull KR's. Like I said, there's no denying that. It's out there for everyone to know. So money's there. Money's a really big thing, but I don't really think it's all about that. I really don't. It's good to have knowing that that's there, but the experience and the day is going to be a hell of a lot worth more than what money comes into the bank, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, and hopefully, there'll be a number of Loch Lane fans. What are you expecting coming on Friday night?
So far we're up to 2 buses sold. We're close enough to 2 buses at the moment. That obviously goes without the people travelling through themselves. So, all being well, we're probably most we've had out to come watch us play in a long time, and it's an hour away from us at all. So, yeah, we're looking to bring as many as we can, and hopefully our social media guy can keep pushing it as much as he can and get people on board. Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's going to be a fantastic night. And let's just look at your team, Brad, for people who aren't aware of it. Who might be the players who we want to keep an eye on, or some who ones might give us a bit of trouble on Friday night?
Without putting too much pressure on our boys, we've got Lewis Price, who's played for England Lions recently, went over to Australia and won a tour over there. He scored a hat-trick in first round. He's unpredictable as a coach. He's unpredictable as well. You don't know what Lewis is going to do. But yeah, it hopefully cause a few problems. We've got a couple of really tough middles. In a lad called Rob Jowett and Connor Jordan, who are just going to keep coming hopefully all day, and I'm hoping they can get some rewards off the back of it, because they put the bodies online week in, week out for lads, and not just them 3 that I mentioned there, but everyone. We've just got a team full of blokes that want to graft for each other and work hard for each other, and hopefully it shows on the game and everyone can respect that. And yeah, on back of that, we're just excited, mate. I can't stress that enough. I really can't stress that enough.
These games do give the opportunity for someone to put the name in the history books, don't they? Whether it's the try, whether it's whatever it is, there's an opportunity for someone. There's even a shot window. You look at the pool. We was talking about the community game in terms of the pool of players. Well, if you go through the pro ranks, that pool's getting smaller there as well. So these clubs are always looking for new players, and there's someone who, if they stand out on Friday night, who knows what doors that could open. So it's a really exciting prospect. We know for the Robins that, as we record this early today, Willie Peters said that Mikey Lewis, Jez Litton, Joe Burgess, the lads who played for England, won't be featuring. Tom Amon, Pet Hickey, luckily they won't be. But he has said it will still be a strong side, which is, for some people, may say it's a daunting prospect. But I think, like you've already said, it's actually something to relish and something to look forward to.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that news all week, to be honest with you, to find out, because we have a couple of connections at Hull KR. Obviously, Noah Booth is the next Loch Lane junior.
Yeah.
Pete Riding and Josh Riding, I think, are on staff there at Castleford lads. So obviously, we're hearing stuff here and there and everywhere from everyone, and it's just, I don't believe
that's what you found, don't you, Brad? That everybody thinks they know something, even if they don't.
That's the thing. It's like, I've heard from a so-and-so that they're playing it, he's playing. It's like, just wait until he comes out and says something. That's when you know what's true. And I am really happy that we're going to see likes of hopefully Arthur Morg, Elliot Minchella. I don't know if I've heard rumours about Tyrone May not playing or playing, but Tyrone May, ex-NRL Grand Final winner. Seeing likes of them go up against some of our boys at 21, 22-year-olds is going to be really good.
Yeah, Brad, honestly, I can't wait for Friday night. It's going to be an interesting counter. Who knows what happens? I think ultimately, come kick off, it's 13 blokes against 13 blokes, and let's see what happens. You know, we're really pleased to be hosting Loch Lane. I'm sure the Robin faithful will be out in numbers to back the game, and I'm sure you boys will do justice to the community game and to Loch Lane. You know, a club with a rich history who no doubt will do the community game really well. I wish you all the best of luck. Yeah. Well, and anyone watching and listening to this, if you've not already got your tickets for Friday night, make sure that you do, because, like we said, it's a busy month in February. Loch Lane, York Knights, Brisbane Broncos, and then Leeds Rhinos in Las Vegas. So what a way to kick off the month. But yeah, Brad, all the best for Friday, and good luck for the future going forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on as well, and hopefully everyone can get out and support the boys because they truly deserve it.
Graham, it promises to be a really special occasion on Friday night, doesn't it, at Craven Park? Not necessarily because we're just watching the Robins, but it's an opportunity to celebrate the community game and give a little bit back as well, isn't it? Because what I loved about Brad was the enthusiasm, the fact that they wanted to just play. They're not daunted. It's an opportunity that sometimes doesn't come for a lot of sides, and that's why I think as Robin supporters, we need to get behind the game. We need to get behind Loch Lane. We need to, of course, get behind Hull Kingston Rovers. I mean, don't get me wrong. If Loch Lane do beat the Robins, it will probably be one of the greatest shocks, not just in rugby league, in sport ever. But at the same point, it was just so refreshing to hear about Loch Lane and just what they're looking forward to on Friday night.
Yeah, it was, John. And I completely agree with you. Brad's enthusiasm there, his passion, you could tell that was coming through in bucket loads. And, it's people like Brad and all the volunteers at Loch Lane and the community around there, as with all the other clubs, that keep the rugby game thriving. And look, we're fortunate enough to watch Super League, but that's the pinnacle of the game. The real work, hard work, all starts through grassroots clubs. All the players that we've got in Super League now all started their journeys with their grassroots clubs, many of them in their local towns and cities, and that's the breeding ground, and we've got to look after that. So to provide an opportunity like this for a community club like Loch Lane to come along to Super League grand final winners, treble winners, etc., you can understand why the lads want to get involved in a bit of that and transfer the fixture to our players just to experience that. It might be the only chance they get through their career of playing rugby to play at this level and to play against players of the caliber of this level. So why wouldn't they try and embrace it and make it the best it can be? And as Brad alluded to there, it's a real showpiece opportunity for them to celebrate themselves and the work that they do in the community, to get that financial reward. We can't hide behind that, but then that being the ability to give them the platform for further success over the coming 5-10 years, it could set them up really well and hopefully make that club thrive. And if all the other community-based clubs that get to this stage are in the same position as them, then if that revenue and funding trickles down through the opportunities like this to them to provide more strength to their clubs, better governance, better pool of volunteers, more playing opportunities, that can again potentially reverse that trend of participation numbers that I think Brad alluded to as well. So yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity for them. It might be there. Wembley, everybody starts again from zero, as I said earlier on in this journey to Wembley. And whether you are a cricketer dreaming of playing at Lords, footballer, rugby player dreaming of playing at Wembley, dancer going to the Tower Ballroom in Blackpool, it is the pinnacle of what you can do. And this is the start of the journey. We experienced it last year and we got a taste for it there. The guys at Loch Lane, no doubt, this will be their Wembley opportunity, having to play that. So why wouldn't they want to, give a good account themselves, give a good account of the community game, reap the rewards financially from it, and hopefully give them a platform for growth and development over the next, as I say, good few years that can see the community game thrive, because it's where all of our Super League players are coming from the UK.
Yeah, and it shows for me, Graham, what a great job the off-field staff have done at Hull Kingston Rovers in terms of making match days so great. You know, the atmosphere, the fireworks, whatever it is. You know, that's why Lock Lane wanted to play the game at Craven Park on Friday night, because they've seen it on TV. They've been there as Castleford supporters. They've seen it. They want to be a part of it, and you know, that's because the club have done a fantastic job off field in terms of making match days such a great experience. So they deserve a lot of credit. Ultimately, you know, the Lock Lane players have seen it and they want to be a part of it. I think, you know, we've got a duty to deliver that experience. It is going to be a very interesting encounter, because when you look at the squad that has been named by the Robins, it is very, very strong, isn't it, Graham? Because you know what? I'm just going to bring it up now. Willie Peters did allude to the fact that he was going to name a squad, a strong squad, as we mentioned with the Lock Lane interview. There's certain players missing in terms of the players who played for England and certain other players who were recovering from injury. But when you do look at the squad, it is a very daunting prospect for Lock Lane. But at the same point as well, it's a great opportunity for them, isn't it? So the squad is Arthur Morg, Tom Davis, Oliver Gildart, Tyrone May, Sauso Sue, Dean Hadley, James Batchelor, Jack Broadbent, Jai Whitbread, Reece Martin, Jack Brown, Carl Lawton, Noah Booth, Bill Leyland, Jack Charles, Louis Gorman, Tom Whitehead, Kobe Wainhouse, and Declan Murphy. Couple of players that I'm surprised to see in that squad, Graham, is Tyrone May and Reece Martin, just based on the fact that they were overseas doing international duties. Of course, Reece Martin was in the Papua New Guinea squad, wasn't he? At the same time, England or Australia. And then Tyrone May got a late call up to the Samoa squad to go play over there. But they've been included. So, I mean, we don't know the reasons. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But I was surprised to see, especially them two, in that side.
Yeah, and again, you can look at it one or two ways, John O'Carty, that they are a little bit behind in terms of where their pre-season fitness journey is, and this is a way of getting some more minutes in the legs to play catch-up, or it could just be one of those where they've got no real thoughts of playing them, and they're just there to make up a squad number. Because I think he came out and said early doors about the likes of Lewis, Burgess, Litton, etc. So, yeah, I think whichever way Peters and the coaching staff go with it, there's a strong enough squad there to win the game comfortably. I don't shy away from making that statement. I don't think you need a rocket scientist to say we're heavy favourites, but it also gives an opportunity for people like, you know, the Jack Charles of this world, the Declan Murphys of this world, to make their case. We've brought them in for a reason, so you know they'll be wanting to pull a share on and show what they can do in a game situation. So, whilst you know it might not be our first choice squad, there's still an opportunity for us to, you know, to go by our processes, to live by the values that we set ourselves, not to take Lock Lane for granted, given the, you know, position in the system. We've still got to go out and be professional and do a job, and I think that's some of the reasons and things that Peters and the coaching staff will be looking for, is how are we going through our processes? Are we doing what we do every day in training? Are we coasting? Are we getting complacent with things? We should still go out and do a professional job regardless of the 17 that are on the field.
Yeah, I mean, Graham, I've created a 18-man squad here, and that I think will be the side. Arthur Morg at fullback. Then you got Tom Davis on the wing, Jack Broadbent at centre, Gildart in the centres, Booth on the wing. I think Tyrone May will partner Jack Charles. You've got then Sue and Whitbread at prop with Bill Leyland at number 9. Hadley and Batchelor in the second row with Minchella on the at loose forward, of course. Reece Martin, Jack Brown, Carl Lawton, and then Desarier on the bench with Tom Whitehead, 18th man. Obviously, that then leaves out Gorman, Horn, Murphy. But when I look at that, I could be completely wrong, because we've got no idea literally what the side will be, have we? because there might be some players who've impressed in pre-season, who've pushed themselves up, players who've impressed against Wakefield in the pre-season friendly. We expect if you're a first team player, which we, as supporters, we generally think we know who the first team players are. If you're named in the squad, you're pretty much expected to play. But I'm still, although I've named that squad, I'm still struggling to go, actually, maybe Louis Gorman deserves a chance. We talked on the last Robin pod about how well Harvey Horn did. Does he deserve another opportunity?
Yeah.
So it is really hard. Declan Murphy, he was one of my standout players against Wakefield. Do they deserve an opportunity? Because in my team, they're out of the equation. So it's really difficult to pick that team for Friday night.
Absolutely. You'd listen to what some of the players have said about Whitehead in pre-season. Been ripping it up there. So again, you could pick, you could ask 100 people out there and we'd come up with 100 different combinations of those players. So I think we just need to, as we've done all season, last season and before, was trusting Willie and the coaching staff to get it right for the right reasons, build minutes in the legs, for the right players, give those players that need to show what they can do that opportunity, but again, use it as a stepping stone from a fitness perspective to get towards where we need to be for the week after for the Super League opener.
Yeah, and I think a big point as well, Graham, it's not just what happens on the pitch. It's about the preparation going into game day. So the players made a big point of the senior leadership group didn't want to go into that Wakefield game and then have a week off. So this game is the preparation that you will see for the York game afterwards.
Yeah.
And this is why it's a big game, because it's what happens on the grass is really important, but it's how the players prepare. And I suppose some players have got the opportunity to play themselves into the team, but also they can play themselves out of it about how they approach it, what they do. And Willie Peters is very strong, isn't he, about when you get into that first team, how you conduct yourself, what you do. That is as much as what you do on the pitch. So that's why I'm really looking forward to this game. Don't get me wrong, it's such a daunting prospect for Lock Lane, but they're embracing it. But also, it's really interesting from Hull Kingston Rovers' perspective to just see them players and then see also who's in that lineup for the York game. That is going to be really interesting based on what happens against Lock Lane on Friday night.
Yeah, I think with that splattering of senior players in there, that leadership team in there, you would hope that that's enough to ensure those values and those disciplines that we've prided ourselves on over the last few years, that those are upheld, and any players coming into the fold, either just the Wakey game under the belt or the first run out for the club, you would hope that they're going to be holding players accountable to the standards that we set for ourselves, and I think that's a big message that everybody needs to get toward is that professionalism, which the word you mentioned earlier on about upholding that, because as soon as we've seen it before, as soon as standards drop or that level of complacency creeps in, weird things can happen. So let's take it as a proper game, which it obviously is, and there's an outcome at the end of it, and a result is we're going to the next round of the Challenge Cup, which is what we all want. But then on the other side of it, making sure that we get the basics right, those fundamentals right. Players like Minchella, Batchelor, Hadley knocking around, they aren't going to be letting enough people off doing their jobs properly, and that back line is a strong back line as well. So, I can't see anything other than a professional performance from us. There might be a bit of change around once the game is put to bed, and you maybe see some of the interchanges coming on of players that are, coming on to replace some of those senior pro players in readiness for next week against York. But let's get the job done properly first before we start thinking about that. Yeah,
and that's all about preparation. It's all about going through the motion. It's all about playing the Hull Kingston Rovers way. So it's really exciting to see what happens on Friday night. Before we go into question time very quickly, it's been reported they're expecting 10,000 Super League fans, so 10,000 supporters from England to be attending that fixture against when we play the Leeds Rhinos in Las Vegas. They're expecting 4,000 Rovers fans, which is absolutely staggering. I've just created a Facebook group on Facebook called Robins in Vegas, and it's just an opportunity for people who are going out to the game in Las Vegas to get together, to congregate, share tips, share advice, things that people don't know. So People listening, if you are going to Las Vegas, go on Facebook, type in Robins in Vegas, join the group, and you'll get some good advice, you'll get some good tips, you get some good hints, and also it's an opportunity for you to say things that you don't know. Which leads us into question time. Now, Graham, big question. L98 Robin, he says, if only one, which trophy would we prefer to retain, and where does the World Club Challenge trophy rank amongst the other three? So, would you like to retain the Grand Final, the League Leaders, or the Challenge Cup? And where does the World Club Challenge feature in that four?
How long have we got left, John? To run through? That's almost the impossible.
It's a fully loaded question. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot.
Look, I think the World Club Challenge is a one-off event. The bread and butter is at home for me, and again, the longevity of a season, putting yourself in the position to be league leaders is, for me, I think a devalued trophy in that it takes second fiddle, at least second fiddle to the Super League Grand Final trophy. Even though you could theoretically play 3 games and win the Grand Final after having a bang average season and just scraping into 6th position in the league. So, yeah, I think it's an impossible one to answer. As long as we're consistent in that silverware circle for me now, because the World Club Challenge could be one to get hold of, but then we could do nothing for the rest of the season. So, have we made progress, or does the consistency of another solid season under our belt with the opportunity of further silverware? That's probably one that excites me the most, of being able to maintain our position in the standings in Super League. As a one-off event at the beginning of the season, I won't say it's flip of a coin, but it could go either way. Yes, it carries a lot of prestige, no doubt, but what does it mean if you have a bang average season and you're nowhere near the semi-finals and finals when push comes to shove?
Yeah, I mean, it would be great. I keep saying it in my head, to be called the greatest team in the world. If we won the World Club Challenge, it is a fantastic, absolutely. But, there's a long time between February and October, isn't there? There's lots of opportunities. So, I put my trust in Willie Peters in terms of how he's turned over the coaching staff, how he's had a plan. And I think, do you know what? We as supporters, we've got to just trust the plan, because
100%.
It's worked so far. Do you know what? It's working. And I think we've just got to trust them. And I'll go back to the original point that we started with on the Robin Pod, which was about, as supporters, let's embrace the challenge. Let's expect to be high moments, low moments, but also we just need to be constant, which, do you know what? I feel patronising saying it, because I know the Robin faithful will be behind that side through the season. So, yeah, really interesting. Graham, there we go. What a month. Loch Lane, York, Brisbane, Leeds. We're almost going back to the Halcyon days of the 80s, aren't we? When it was like literally semi-finals, finals. Don't get me wrong, we had Yorkshire Cup, we had, the Championship, we had the, playoffs, we had all that going on. But what a time to be a Hull Kingston Rovers supporter.
Absolutely. Again, we've been in the wilderness for so long with all this. Now that we're getting used to the semi-finals and finals over the last 3 and 4 seasons, the players have said it before, it becomes addictive. So for us as fans, we should recognise that there's no God-given right for us to be in any of those positions at the back end of the season. We've got to earn the right. As I mentioned earlier on, we're all starting from 0 points and with good aspirations of achieving something in the season. So, look, we've got to earn the right to get to those semi-finals and finals, and we do that through consistency, through solid performances. Yeah, you might need a little bit of luck along the way, but the hard work and the fundamentals that we've built this squad on and the environment on, there, I think, what will carry us through to a strong position again come the end of the season.
Yeah, and that's why Graham said it's addictive, and that's why Hull Kingston Rovers is the best drug in the world, because it is ultimately gives you the highs and the lows, isn't it, Graham? But for now, if you're going to the game on Friday, make sure you are loud and proud. This is the Robin Pod, powered by Budget Size Auto Centre. Live, love, laugh and be happy.
Game. The Red Army's passion is always the same.
45 years of hurt in the Challenge Cup. 40 years of hurt as a team. Hull KR have won the Challenge Cup in 2025.
Tom Davies try helped ease the pain. We topped the league, we would not fall. The mighty Robins above them all. An Old Trafford clash with Wigan's might.